everybody. Welcome to the Full Court Press. I am your host, Drew Duncan. Do not forget that Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan 83. Additionally, you can find me on YouTube. Simply look for Drew Duncan. And, of course, the Full Court Press is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And do not forget that you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Simply to tell your device to play the Full Court Press by Drew Duncan. 32 teams, 32 days in the NFL. Today, the focus is the LA Rams, a team that a lot of people truly expect to repeat and going back to the Super Bowl. Now, look, one of the things that I kind of like to look at is the previous season going into this season, some of the changes that are made for most teams, the offseason signings, moving players around, et cetera, et cetera. But with the LA Rams, I don't think anybody's going to worry too much about their offseason moves. We look at last season and this season and everything in between. I think obviously the biggest concern is going to be Todd Gurley. It's a given. Defensively, I think most people still believe that this football team is going to be outstanding. One of the better defenses in all the NFL last year, arguably the best defense in the NFL last year. Obviously holding the New England Patriots to, 13 points in the Super Bowl. But I have said from the beginning that I'm not the biggest Jared Goff fan as of right now. I really believe that the LA Rams is a football team that is based off of Todd Gurley and what he can do. Now, here's the thing about the injury last season from Todd Gurley, right? A lot of people didn't really see him come out until later in the season. Right, missed the last couple of games. Then he comes back in the playoffs, 115 yards against Dallas, and then it was just kind of hit and miss, limited time. Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? How does he feel during these games? But according to Maurice Jones-Drew, Todd Gurley actually was injured in Week 1 against the Oakland Raiders, and it just got a little worse and a little worse, and as it progressed, it became accumulative as opposed to a direct initial effect. Whether or not the Rams were well aware of this and asking him to play hurt, it's not really clear at this juncture. What we simply do know is this, is that there's rumor that it's kind of turned into arthritis. I mean, there are a lot of speculations. And don't forget, Todd Gurley was also hurt in his collegiate days as well. So Todd Gurley was risk-reward, honestly, from the beginning. But I think that Todd Gurley is the guy that drives his football team, right? With most teams, what do we do first? We look at the quarterback. We look at the Tom Bradys. We look at the Aaron Rodgers. We look at anybody that we believe is the true leader of the football team, and generally it's the quarterback. But I think with the team that's around Jared Goff, and especially what they can do with their running back and Todd Gurley, how he can affect the game in so many different ways. Pretty good pass blocker. Excellent at receiving and getting yards after the catch. Great at making guys miss, making plays all over the field as a running back. I mean, I really don't think that there's anything athletically Todd Gurley couldn't do on a football field if he didn't want to. I mean, I'd be damn near tempted that if this was the old days to put him defensive on the defensive side of the football as well and see what he can do. Just to be perfectly honest with you, because I think he would be capable of it. For me, the case in point is the Super Bowl. It didn't appear to me that the New England Patriots really had any concern about Jared Goff in the passing game. The way that they played so conservatively throughout that football game. Now, look, I know that the NFC Championship game, to a lot of people, is still lingering. And for LA Rams fans, they're probably in a catch-22. Because their feeling is probably, hey, you guys had a lead. You were at home. There were face mask calls, right? Jared Goff, when he made that run to the end zone, that were missed. I mean, there was just a lot of different things that were not picked up by the refs that entire football game. It was really a disaster on both sides of the football when you think about it. And by both sides, I mean for both teams. Regardless of who was going to get out of there with a victory, it was not going to be a clean win no matter what, was it? And I think as a Rams fan, you look at it and you go, yeah, that was a horrible play call, but you had a lead. You're at home. You should finish the game. We really didn't have Gurley in there doing a whole hell of a lot. Because Gurley ultimately is the perfect distraction. Defenses literally have to make him the focal point and key in on him. And that's what part of what made this football team so great last year. And going into this season, it is not a friendly schedule for the LA Rams, right? They're going to be at Carolina. They're going to have that NFC Championship game rematch in week 2, which is in New Orleans, by the way. They're going to be at Cleveland, at Seattle for the first divisional game between those two. Then they'll be at Atlanta. They're going to be at New England. They got Chicago at home and Baltimore at home. Folks, that is a difficult schedule. There are a lot of people, including the Philadelphia Eagles, who have seen this Baltimore offense and they're going, this offense is legit. The hype is real behind Lamar Jackson and company, and you guys are sleeping on him while everybody else is saying he can get it done. Chicago had a pretty good defense last year, obviously spearheaded by Khalil Mack. Offensively, they look pretty good under Trubisky and company. Cleveland, the hype is on them. We all know about Baker Mayfield and company. The Seattle Seahawks, defensively and offensively, are tough every single season. Then anytime you have Drew Brees as your quarterback, as New Orleans does, I think you feel like you have an opportunity to win any football game. They're going to be tested defensively early and often throughout the season. Then, of course, aside from playing Seattle twice, you've got Arizona twice. I think defensively they won't be that good. Offensively, though, they'll be a competitive matchup for any team in the NFL. And whether or not you have Todd Gurley healthy is a huge issue. Because as we all know, the running game, regardless of what anybody wants to say about being outdated and all that, I love smash mouth football. If you can run the football effectively, you take pressure off your quarterback, your receivers, and your linemen, and you make the play calling so much easier because now you can really open up your book. You can start calling plays that are deep plays because you know that your quarterback is going to have a little bit of extra time on those play action throws because the defense is so focused on your running game. If Todd Gurley goes out for a pass, the defense is going to key in on him, leaving more and more one-on-one matchups for your receivers. That's huge. Combined with a defense that can hold teams, as we've seen, to 10 or 13 points a game is another exceptional factor. But will the Rams repeat? Look, I don't think so. I think the schedule this year is too formidable. And I think as good as they will probably defensively, without Todd Gurley there, I think teams are going to not worry about Jared Goff as much, to be perfectly honest with you. And they're going to make him be a perfect quarterback. And I just don't see where he can do it yet. Look, I wasn't big on Goff coming out of college. I've said it ad nauseum. I'm not going to get back into it right now. He's got potential. But can he make it to that next level, or is he simply just a game manager? I'll tell you a guy who didn't like that rap was Troy Aikman. Given the team around him, it looked like that for certain. The issue is we'll probably really never truly know what Troy Aikman was really capable of because he had so much talent around him. With Jared Goff, if there's no Todd Gurley, I think going into this season, especially if Todd Gurley gets hurt again, we're going to find out who Jared Goff really is. I think he's tough. I think he's a pretty good leader, but I just don't think he's good enough to get to that next level. This is going to be his opportunity this season. Because regardless, they're going to have to use the passing game, I think, to actually try and take a little bit of pressure off of Todd Gurley. And I don't know that Goff has it in him. We'll see. Guys, I am Drew Duncan, host of the Full Court Press. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan 83. Additionally, you can find me on YouTube. Simply look for Drew Duncan. And, of course, the Full Court Press is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Simply tell your device to play the Full Court Press by Drew Duncan. And, as always, don't you dare touch that dial.